I'm the Lonely Necron, and welcome to my basement. So a long time ago, I had tossed out the idea that maybe a viewer could give me an idea. And somebody had said something about a convoy ambush kind of deal. And I've used that theme a number of times since that original seed, I suppose. And we're going to continue on with it today. We're going to have an imperial convoy getting ambushed by a group of night lords, like a large group of night lords. And I'm thinking it should be a good time. It's mostly going to be tanks and heavy support things. Kind of like an extended gauntlet, but better. So I think it was like 2 videos ago, maybe 3, somebody at Webway Radio got a hold of me and asked if I wanted some dice and some stickers. And I gotta say that in the 3 years that I've been doing this, I've gotten one comment from a relatively well-known 40k YouTuber, and these guys contacted me. So free stuff from Webway Radio. I do appreciate it. I feel like a real YouTuber getting, merch from a fellow in the same neighborhood of 40k-ish, kinda. I mean, they're more of a podcast and I'm more of a tabletop, but we're all 40k in the end, so thank you to them. I do appreciate it. I've already got stickers up in various places, so. Alright, so we're going to start with looking at what the Imperial Guard are going to be trying to transport, and then we'll look at what the Night Lords are going to be jumping them with. Alright, so for whatever reason, a company of Cadians are needed somewhere on the planet, so the Stormlord has been tasked with taking them there. The Dorn, the Rust, and the Sentinel are all there to, be escorts or whatever. So we got a 5-man squad, the Cadian command group, led by a dude with a plasma pistol. We got a commissar, and then 3 10-man groups of Cadian shock troops. All of them have a radio guy, a flamer, a grenade thrower, and then 6 regular guys with their las guns. 2 guys with chainswords, and a guy with an auto gun. We have an armored sentinel that has a flamer and the sentinel chainsword. We got a Lehman Russ. It's got 2 heavy flamers, the Russ battle cannon, and a las cannon. The Rogaldorn, the hollow Rogaldorn. I'm going to be bitter about that for the rest of my days. It's got a heavy stubber, the Rogaldorn battle cannon, 2 heavy bolter, and the Castigator Gatling cannon. And then the Stormlord. 2 heavy stubbers, 2 las cannons, 4 twin heavy flamers, and a twin heavy bolter. The 4 twin heavy flamers were, it just made sense to put them on there like that. It's a troop transport, so you want it to be flaming stuff that's trying to get close when you're trying to disembark stuff. So all 4 and all of the infantry guys are in the Stormlord, so as long as the Stormlord gets from roughly where it is now to the other side of the table, life will be good. So here we have the opposing Night Lord ambushing force. It looks like a Night Castellan, but for this game, it's a Night Desecrator. Just an exact copy of the guy that was his immediate left. So they'll have the Laser Destructor, a heavy stubber, and the Reaper Chainsword, which I think is going to be a bad. I just love the Reaper Chainsword. We've also got a Hellbrute with the twin las cannon, 2 Obliterators, which will be in teleport for a little while until they feel like hopping in. 2 groups of Havocs. One of them is a Night Lords group with 2 las cannons, a Reaper chain cannon, and a heavy bolter. And then an Iron Warriors group of Havocs, just for the fun of it. The las cannon, an auto cannon, a Reaper chain cannon, And I think it's some sort of weird slug thrower, but I treat it like a missile launcher. We have 4 rhinos. Each one of the rhinos has 10 of those Space Marines in it. They're all the same, exact same, so 4 of those units. 3 guys with bolt guns, and then 6 with bolt pistol chainsword. All of them led by a guy with a power fist and a plasma pistol. And then the 4 rhinos themselves. So yeah, these guys are going to jump that armored column. And I have faith in Chaos. I think these guys are going to win. But that's just because I'm looking at a Reaper Chainsword. I think it's going to tear that Stormlord apart, honestly. Alright, well, I'm going to set up the terrain, look at that, and then these guys are going to get placed on the board, and we're going to roll some dice. Because, yeah, we're going to do some dice roll in this game. And you guys get to see the dice so that you can commiserate with me over the failed ones that are sure to arrive here. And if we're really lucky, a whole bunch of these vehicles will explode. So, good times coming. Alright, so for our ambush today, the Imperial Guard convoy is going to start over here. Work their way to here. And all they gotta do to win is escape off the table edge. Not literally falling to the floor, because that would suck. So, when the Sentinel crosses over these hemp wire, the hemp things won't be there, but when the Sentinel crosses this point, it'll trigger the ambush. And then when the Rust passes this point, it'll trigger the rhinos appearing down here at this end. A lot of places for units to hide. I think it might be a little difficult to hide 2 knights on this particular area, but I'm going to get it done, so. Alright. Well, we'll do some setup, and then we're going to start the experiment. Alright, so I have here the armored columns set up. They're staged 6 inches apart. Hopefully that will give all of them room to maneuver and whatnot as they get around the bend. Alright, so from this angle we can see a good portion of the ambushing units. The Night Lord's halberd is down there. The Iron Warrior's havocs are over there. We got the actual Knight Desecrator hiding behind a building over there. Proxy Knight Desecrator hiding behind yet another building over there. And then the Night Lord Havocs over here, just waiting to hop up. Alright, so we'll start with movement for the tank column. Alright, so the entire column advanced forward. Everybody except the Rogel Dorn made it 13 inches. So the Sentinel didn't make it across the imaginary line, so we're going to have to do another round of movement for these guys. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, well. The Sentinel definitely crossed the line that time. He only needed 2 inches to get there, so they definitely all made it. They all advanced again. I mean, they are in a hurry, so. Alright, well, that means that the Night Lord's ambush can now begin, and we will start with movement for them, which is most of them popping up out of cover. Alright, so the halberd, these havocs, and these havocs all popped out on top of the areas that they were sheltering behind. The Night Desecrator at the end there stepped out into the middle of the street. And this Night Desecrator also stepped out pretty much at the end of the street. I don't really see the need to drop the Obliterators in next, or not this turn, that'll be next turn. And then the Rhinos will appear after the Rust gets to the end of the row here. So, ambush sprung. Now we have to see if these guys can actually pull off a shooting phase and do some amazing stuff. So yeah, we'll get to some shooting here. Alright, so we're going to start with Iron Warriors Havocs, and they're going to be shooting at the Sentinel because they're badasses. Got a missile launcher, an auto cannon, a Reaper chain cannon, and a las cannon. Yeah, the champion's got a flamer, I think. It might be a combi plasma. Either way, we'll start with the missile launcher. Use a crack missile. Hitting on a 3. That's not a hit. Awesome. That's a great way to start that out. Alright, so then we'll try the auto cannon. Also hits on a 3. And one of those hits. Ain't bad. So 7 strength, 6 toughness. We need a 3. That is not a 3. That's and heavy bolter. Heavy bolter. It's 3. All 3 of those actually hit. That's super awesome. Unfortunately, these guys need a 5 to wound with that. Only one of those made it. Alright, so these guys need a 5 up to save. That's a 5 up. Alright, so Reaper chain cannon, which I think is a heavy 9. Heavy 4. No, heavy 8. Alright, big 3s. Wow, that's a lot of 1s. Alright. So these also need 5s to win. None of those wounded. That's pretty, that's not a good showing, Havocs. Alright, so next target. Alright, well, next to hopefully try and get some better luck going on, we're going to do the Night Lord's Halberd into the Lehman Russ. He's got the twin las cannon. Alright, looking for 3s. Hey, that's nice. We'll take that. We'll take that all day. So 9 to 8, so 3s to wound for this happiness. Hey, both of those actually wounded. This is already looking better. Yeah, 5 ups. Made 1 failed one, so I think it only takes d6 damage for that. Alright, that takes 5 and goes down to 8. That's a happiness thing right there. Alright, so next up we have the Night Lord's Havocs going into the Stormlord. I mean, they've got big happy choices here. Alright, well, we'll start with the Reaper chain cannon. Number 3s. That's not a lot of 3s. I mean, it's more than I expected, actually. T9 means that it's going to be real annoying to actually wound this thing. If you need 5s to wound it, that's better than most other ones so far. That ain't bad. So, 3 wounds. Only at a -1 though, so it needs a 3. Made all of it save. Of course it did. Alright, so the heavy bolter. Hey, 2 of those hit. We'll take 2. Yeah. Unfortunately, like the chain cannon, this one's only strength 5, so 5s to wound. One of those does wound. So we need a 3 up to save this. Saved it, of course. Alright, well, that leaves us with the 2 las cannons. 1 made it and 1 didn't make it. It's starting to look like the other Havoc team. These actually like equal, so we just need a 4 on this one, which we of course don't get. That's how it goes. Alright, so the Proxy Knight Desecrator is going to shoot his laser destructor into the Rogel Dorn. Hopefully something awesome here is going to happen, so find out how many shots we get. 3 shots. That's awesome sauce. Alright, so back here. 3 shots hitting on 3s. That's the saddest thing I have ever seen. Okay, that's a lie. But that's still really sad. What am I supposed to do with that? Alright, well then the real actual Knight Desecrator is going to shoot at the Sentinel with his laser destructor. So, D3 shots. Yeah, we'll take another 3 shots. Hopefully one of these actually, like, wounds, gets above a 3. Or even a 3 would be cool. 2 ain't bad. 2 ain't bad. So, 14 strength. 6 toughness. That's a 2 to wound. Both of those wound. I don't think it's saving against that. I don't think it has an invulnerable save. It does not. It's taking the damage for that then. So it's 2d6 damage. Oh, rough. Only 3 damage. Puts it down to 4 though. Alright, so the 2 lead vehicles in the column here took a little bit of damage, but the other 2 just kind of shrugged it off like nothing happened. Assuming they actually took the wound in the first place. Chaos dice not being very cooperative today. That's okay though. Well, these guys are now aware of the fact that they've been shot at, and it is now their turn, so let's see what they can do with this. I'll start with their movement phase. Alright, so the column is just moved forward. More guys are around the corner here. Did a regular move so that we can just start shooting back and trying to take out the ambushers while they also try and escape. So with that in mind, we're going to do some shooting. Alright, so unfortunately the Sentinel, I grabbed the wrong Sentinel when I was grabbing models for this game, and I grabbed the Flamer as opposed to the Plasma Cannon, so she doesn't get to shoot this turn. But the Russ is definitely within range. So we're going to start with his last cannon. He needs a 4 to hit. That is not a 4. Alright, cool. Well, we'll try his battle cannon then. D6 plus 3 shots. Nice, that's a terrible roll. Alright, well, 4 shots. Hitting on 4s. You know, that makes up for it. We'll take that. So, 8 strength. Shove 4s to wound. And all 4 of them wound. That's not a terrible thing. Well, all 3 of them wound. Either way. So 3 5-ups. And the Desecrator failed all 3 of them. That's super awesome. Alright, well, crap. That means he can attack back with his Sentinel Chainsaw. It's 2 attacks, hitting on 4s. They both hit. Of course they do. Strength 6, toughness 8, so he needs a 5 to wound. Doesn't wound, though. I mean, I guess that's the downside of using Necron dice for guard dice as well. Alright, well, I guess on the plus side, at least the Knight Desecrator didn't make his charge, so he's much more of an obstacle for the remaining tanks and all that back here, so it is the Imperial Guard turn, so we'll see what they want to do here. Movement first. So the Armored Sentinel decided to fall back. The Russ and the Stormlord have gotten more fully into this particular section of the road, and closer to the Knight Desecrator. And the Dorn is just following behind. There will indeed be a lot of shooting here, since the Obliterators and the Havocs up here are now within range of the Twin Heavy Flamers that are all over the Stormlord. So that's going to be an interesting experience. Alright, so the Armored Sentinel fell back, so he cannot shoot. But the Leman Russ can absolutely shoot at that big giant knight that's very, very close to him. So we're going to start with the las cannon. So I forgot that the Russ had gotten badly wounded, so he only has 2 wounds left, which means now he hits on a 6. Which is unfortunate, but he's still going to blast away at it. I mean, why not, you know? So the las cannon. Looking for a 6. That's a 6. That's hilarious. Alright, well, strength 9, toughness 8, needs a 3 to wound. That's a 3. Alright, so the 5-up ion shield, which, you know, I guess we'll take it, you know, Chaos Dice acting cool for once. Alright, well, he also has 2 heavy flamers, so Heavy 2d6 auto hits. Man. Strength 5, toughness 8, 5 to wound. I mean, I guess we can try and depend on at least one decent number here and there. So, -1 on that, so we need a 4 up. That is not a 4 up. Well, okay. That takes a point of damage from that, which just leaves us with this little battle cannon happiness. Heavy d6 plus 3. Well, you know, what was it Billy Bob Thornton said? We can't all be winners. Alright, looking for 6s. One of those hits. Alright, well, same strength and toughness, so we need a 4 to wound. I need to stop rolling so closely there, but that's at least a wound on that. Alright, so 5 up regardless of how this is going to look. Chaos dice coming through and telling Imperial Guard to get fucked. I like it. Alright, well that's it for the Russ. Alright, so we're going to skip the Stormlord and save him for last since he's got the most weapons and will be the most annoying to roll for. We're going to go to the Rogaldorn, who is going to shoot at the Obliterator. He's going to dump everything he has into the Obliterator that's on the hill with the Iron Warrior's Havocs. We're going to start off with the Castigator Gatling Cannon. He at least, I mean, he's taken some wounds, but he's still in the top bracket, so he at least is still hitting on 4s. I mean, that's not terrible. Well, we'll be wounding on 4s. So, 4 wounds. And a -1, so 4 3-ups. Chaos dice. It's like they got charged overnight being like, oh, we're about to get stomped. We should probably try and step up and not get stomped. Good idea, guys. Alright, well, it's also got 2 heavy bolters. Hitting on 4s. Wow, that's terrible. I mean, I guess we gotta make up somewhere, right? Like, the door opens, the door closes, all of that stuff. Also wounding on a 4. At least it's a wound, right? This is also a 3-up. Awesome. It's kind of a weird little bump there at the end. Kind of interesting. It's also got a heavy stubber. I mean, I'm glad it happened there, sure, you know. Twin battle cannon, so 2d6 shots. Okay, looking for 4s. No, it's not too terrible. Alright. Now we're looking for 3s. I gotta know if you could hear my sigh of deep suffering there, but there was a sigh of deep suffering there. So it needs a 5 or better here, which Chaos is just really rolling superbly well right now. I don't understand it. They're not normally this good on the rolls. We'll see what the Stormlord can do. Alright, so after some measuring and some cackling, more measuring and less cackling actually, I thought the twin heavy flamers had a longer range, but they only have a 12-inch range, which, yeah, less cackling. But they're definitely within range of the Havocs and the Obliterator on the hill, so he is definitely dead. Those guys are definitely screwed. So, gonna put both last cannons and the Vulcan Mega Bolter and the twin heavy bolter into the night, and then twin heavy flamers, 1 each into the Obliterator and the Havocs on the hill, and then I guess the 2 heavy stubbers into the Hellbrute. That sounds fun. the first twin heavy flamer into the Iron Warriors Havocs. Yeah, that's a pretty awesome shot. So 11 auto hits. 8, 11. Havocs have a 5 toughness, so 4 is the wound. That's a lot of 4s. So we got 3, 6, 8 wounds. -1. So 8 4-ups. Alright, so 1 dead Marine, 2 dead Marines, and 3 dead Havocs. That's super awesome. Alright, so then the back twin heavy flamer into the obliterator. Oh, that's a pretty decent number as well. Alright, so we're looking for 4s to wound. That's kind of equal to what happened last time. So we got 3, 5, 7 at -1. So 7 3-ups. Wow. Chaos dice are just on it tonight. So obliterator takes 2 for that. Doesn't kill him. I think that puts him down to 3. It does. Alright, so the 2 heavy stubbers into the Hell Root. Still looking for 4s. That's, I mean, it could be worse. Alright. Strength 4. Toughness 7. 5s to wound. I mean, at least it's a wound, right? 3 to save. Oh. Alright, so the remaining weapons are all going to be going into the Night Desecrator. We're going to start off with the 2 last cannons. Hitting on 4s. Oh. Okay then, sure. We're going to start with that again. Okay. So then the twin heavy bolter. I mean, it's better. It's not the greatest. Fortunately, we're looking for 5s to wound. Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I did switch out my chaos dice because the white ones were really hard to see. So I just grabbed a handful of random other colored d6s, so the non-matching dice are now the chaos dice. Works for me. 4 up. Well, takes 1 point of damage for that. I don't know, it takes 2 points of damage for that. Fucking heavy bolters. Well, that leaves the Vulcan Mega Bolter. This would be the point for a tank commander, or whatever it is that gives you a +1 for being a tank. Alright, well, you have 5 to wound. Wow. Alright, well, yeah. Big giant tank doesn't mean anything, I suppose. So. Okay, 5 up. Hey, he actually failed that, so I'll take another 2 damage. Alright, well, I mean, the Hilltop does look a little different now. It's got a whole lot less Havocs on it. I sacrificed the captain or the sergeant or whatever they are so that I could keep the last cannon guy. Obliterator took some damage. The Night Desecrator is now in the middle bracket, which kind of sucks. Whew, this isn't exactly going the way I expected it to go, but the dice will always find a way to change expectations. Alright, well this will make it the Night Lord's turn. Since the rest crossed the invisible line, the rhinos will appear at the other end. I don't know what good they're going to do, but they're going to appear, so. And then any other movement, probably just a proxy Night Desecrator moving. Alright, so the only thing that really happened for the movement phase for the Night Lords was the proxy Desecrator moved it 12 inches out and got a whole lot closer to this Dorn. Still probably won't make the charge. And the 4 rhinos appeared at this end of the street, blocking this exit. Well, not really blocking, let's face it, they're rhinos. But they're full of, trigger-happy, very death-excited Night Lords that are hoping that this Stormlord gets peeled open. I'm kind of hoping that too, so I guess we're going to see how the shooting phase here goes. This is going to be super, super impressively crazy, actually. Alright, well, we're going to start with the Halberd. His twin las cannons are going to go into the Roll Dorn. Hopefully. That's always the hope here. So, 2 shots, looking for 3s. The new Chaos Dice are already starting to kind of feel pretty nice. So, now we need 2 4s. I'll take 1 out of 2. That ain't bad. Can the Dorn do something about that? No, it absolutely could not, in fact. Alright, so D6 damage to the Dorn. That's a really nice number. That completely cuts the health of the Dorn in half, in fact. That's a good start to the shooting phase, Jesus. Alright, well, to capitalize on that, I guess the Proxy Desecrator is also going to shoot everything it has at the Dorn. So we'll start with the Heavy Stubber. He is not bracketed, so he's actually hitting on 3s. Nice. All of those actually hit. That was stupid of me. The Dorn's T9. This thing's only strength 4. It can't even wound it. I just wasted, all of those happy 3 pluses. Oh well. So the later Destructor, D3. So 2 shots on the Destructor. Looking for 3s. 1 out of 2 ain't bad. Alright, so strength 14, toughness 9, still a 3-up. And that's a 3-up. Cool. Alright, well, can the Dorn save against that? It needs a 6. That is not a 6. Alright, so D6 damage to the Dorn. If it takes 5 or more, it's gonna die. Oh, you lucky bastard. He gets to survive with 1 health. That's craziness. Alright, so the last remaining Havoc has a las cannon. I kept him just because it's a las cannon. I'm really hoping he at least does something awesome here. He's going to shoot at the Armored Sentinel with his singular las cannon, looking for a 3. That is absolutely a 3. That's super awesome. Cool. So strength 9, toughness 6. He needs a 3 to wound. Awesome. We're starting off strong here. Alright, so the Sentinel needs a 6. That's not a 6, unfortunately. Alright, so D6 damage. Sentinel only has 4 health, so... Man, what is it with these dice now? First the Dorn is left alive with 1 health. Now the Sentinel's left alive with 1 health. I mean, I appreciate the las cannon for coming through, but still. Alright, so the existence of that Dorn surviving with 1 health is just kind of vaguely offensive. 3 of the rhinos down here have Havoc launchers on them, so they're all going to go after the Dorn, so we're just going to roll them all at the same time. So that's 3d6 shots in total from the 3 of them. So 7 shots in total. Looking for 3s to hit. I mean, I guess. So T9, strength 5, so 5s to wound. Holy crap. I mean, sure, 3 of those, in fact, go through. Havoc launcher, I think, so -1. No, it's a 0. Okay. He failed 1, and that's all he needed to fail. Awesome. Well, does it explode? I think it explodes on a 6. Oh, it does not explode, but it does go away, so cool. The rhinos killed off the Dorn. That's pretty awesome. Okay, so the Wounded Obliterator, who is on the hill with the last Havoc, is going to shoot at the Sentinel. We're going to use the Ruinous Salvo, which is heavy D3 plus 3. So 2 plus 3 is 5. Alright, so we're looking for 3s to hit. Yeah, 4 out of 5 is never really a terrible thing. So strength 7, toughness 6, we need 3s to wound. I like this 3 out of little thing we got going on here. So that's 3 wounds at a -2. Sentinel needs 3 5s. Made 1, failed 2. Takes 4 damage, which does kill it. Does it explode? On a 6 it explodes. Oof! Is that rust within 3 inches? Now I have to measure. Alright, so the rust was within 3 inches of the Sentinel when it exploded, so it did indeed take a mortal wound, which put it down to 1. So the last Obliterator is going to shoot at the rust with the Focused Malice gun, which is just a heavy D3. But I'll take 3 shots. That's a whole lot better than 1. Alright, so we're looking for 3s to hit. That's super terrible, man. Alright, but we're also looking for 3s to wound. T8, strength 9. That's a wound. That's a happy wound. Alright, yeah, 5 up to save or die. Motherfucker. I sigh a lot sometimes when I'm rolling dice. Alright, well, that just leaves the last Night Desecrator to try and pull something out and kill off these guys. Alright, so the Night Desecrator is going to put his Heavy Stubber and his Laser Destructor into the mortally wounded Leman Russ. We'll start with the Heavy Stubber because with my luck, it'll actually kill it. But he only has 11 wounds, so he is bracketed in the middle, so he's hitting on 4s. Well, 2 of those actually hit, so that's not the worst thing in the world. Double toughness, though, so we're needing 6s to wound. Yeah, I didn't think that was actually going to work, now that I think about it. Alright, so D3 shots for the Laser Destructor. 1 shot, that's pretty typical. I need a 4 to hit this guy. I mean, yeah, we'll take that. That's at least a hit. 14 strength, 8 toughness, still a 3 to wound. And that'll be the end of this dice experience. So after shooting, the tank column is greatly diminished. I mean, there's still an undamaged Stormlord here, so it's not that greatly diminished, but Adorner's gone. The Sentinel is gone. The rest has 1 health left. I'm surprised that. Okay, I'm not that surprised that the Chaos Dice are starting to roll kind of awkwardly, but I did just thrust them into the game. Well, the real Knight Desecrator is indeed going to charge into the rest. We'll see how this goes. Overwatch to come. Alright, so we're going to be doing Overwatch for the Rust. So we'll start with the 2 heavy flamers since those are auto hits. So we get 2d6 auto hits. 7 auto hits. That's, pretty awesome. So these need 5s to wound. 2 wounds. Those are at -1, so I need 2 4-ups. Failed both of those, so that'll take 2 damage from that. Let's see, so we also have the last cannon. Need a 6. That's not a 6. That's fine. And then the Rust Battle Cannon itself, d6 plus 3. So 4 shots. Looking for 6s. No 6s in there at all. Alright, well the Knight needs a 6-inch to get within an inch. Oh yeah, he definitely made it in there. Alright, Knight made his charge, so what we're going to do is a Reaper Chainsaw into this Rust. Hitting on 4s because he only has 11 health. Still manages to get 2 hits in there, so that's nice. Strength on that is a lot. Strength 16, toughness 8, so, oh no, that's incorrect. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Strength 14, toughness 8, so 3's to wound. Oof. Yeah, both of those wound. That's at a -3. So 2 5-ups or dies. Awesome. So the Rust takes 12 points of damage. It only had 1 health left. Does it explode? Excellent. When the Rust explodes, it does D3 mortal wounds. I did not want to have to deal with that. Well, that'll end the charge phase, fight phase experience. So I'll take a look at the board here in a second. Well, the Stormlord is all alone out here, but it's got all of its wounds. It has its full complement of crew. It might do okay. I don't know. I mean, those twin heavy flamers do indeed do a lot of damage, but the rhinos are coming in fresh. The proxy Knight Desecrator is mostly undamaged. Anything is possible. It is the Stormlord's turn, though, so we'll see what he manages to get done this turn. Alright, so I just had to move the Stormlord forward like 1.5 inches so that its front twin heavy flamer would be in range of the Havoc over there. And yeah, that's all it's going to do for movement. So the shooting phase, the front twin heavy flamer on this side will go into that single Havoc. The back twin heavy flamer into the Obliterator, and everything else into the Knight in front of it. So yeah, this is going to be a ridiculous experience. Alright, so first we're going to be rolling for the twin heavy flamer into the lone Havoc. Alright, 2d6 auto hits. I mean, I'll take it. I'll take it all day. Alright, well, these are hitting on 4s. I mean, that's not that great, actually. Alright, so we need 4-4-ups. I mean, he got 2, but I'm pretty sure that still kills him. Yeah, that Havoc is a very dead Havoc now. Alright, so then the back twin heavy flamer into the obliterator. 2d6 auto hits. Looks like a good time. These also need 4s to wound. Yeah, that spin was nice. Alright, so 4 wounds again. These guys also need a 3. I guess they don't also need data, but they need a 4. These guys need a 3. Makes all of his saves. The obliterator lives a little bit longer. Alright, well. So then the twin heavy flamers on the right side. Only one of those is actually within range, so 2d6 auto hits into the knight. That's a nice big number of auto hits. Unfortunately, these things are wounding on 5s. But it's the Necron dice, so we got 1, 2, 5. 5 wounds for the knight. At a -1, which I think makes it a 4. So he takes 3 for that. Alright, so then the 2 heavy steppers hitting on 4s. That's not great. It's not the worst thing ever. Unfortunately, these things are wounding on 6, but at least they have a possibility of wounding. I mean, okay, they really don't have a possibility of wounding. Okay. Well, then the twin heavy bolter for 4s. A lot more that time. Also looking for 5s, I think. Yep. Not a single one. Man. Alright, well, that leaves us with 2 last cannons. Hey, one of those hits. That's kind of nice. Needs a 3 to wound because of that 9 strength. Gets it, too. Nice. Alright, so -3 AP means we're going to use the 5-up ion shield thingy, which it totally doesn't make. Alright, well, d6 damage for that. Oof. Well, we can do that. Alright, well, that leaves us with the Vulcan Mega Bolter. A whole lot of d6s looking for 4s. Man, that's a crappy roll. Jeez. Just take out the successes, I guess. Whole lot less of them. Man. 20 d6 and only 6 actually made it. What a rough throw. Alright, well, these are also wounding on 5s. I mean, that was better. Half of those are wounds. I'll take that. So, 3 at -3, so we'll do the ion shield again. Oh, these are -2. Man, I should learn to read. 5s, no matter how you look at it, fails all 3 of those. I mean, at least he takes 6 damage for the Mega Bolter, so he takes 10 overall, which is enough to kill it, I think. I gotta go look at it real fast. Okay, yeah, that was enough to kill the 9 Desecrator. So, on a 6, it explodes. I thought it was actually going to land on the 6 for a second there. It does not explode, so it's just a big chunk of metal that the Stormlord will probably roll over next turn if it's still alive. That was amazing. Alright, well, yeah, so there used to be a 9 Desecrator over here. And I guess a single Havoc with a las cannon, but in the grand scheme of things, the Havoc with a las cannon doesn't really matter. There is nothing blocking this guy's way. All he has to do is escape, and he still hasn't taken any wounds. So these guys Even those rhinos down there. These guys are going to have to put some work in. Thankfully, it is the Night Lord Ambusher. I mean, I guess at this point, all that's left is Night Lords. And the proxy. And a bunch of proxies. Eh. Either way, it's the Ambusher. Man, I can't even talk. It's the Night Lord's turn. There will be some movement. Alright, so the Obliterators are just going to hang out on the hill. The Knight moved up his 12. All 4 of the Rhinos advanced, and they all got different distances, so that was kind of interesting. And the Hellbrute has moved off the hill and gotten a little bit closer. This would be the time to bust out with some sort of converted castigator, whatever that psychic knight thing is. I don't have one of those, so we just don't have a psyker phase. So shooting phase instead, always my favorite phase. Here's to hoping that they could at least wound this thing before it, trundles off the board like a giant beetle. Yeah, I do have a finger crossed somewhere. Alright, so each Obliterator is going to use its focused malice shot. So the first one, heavy D3. Oh, 3 shots, we'll take that. These are hitting on 3s. Hey, they all hit. I'll take that. Strength 9, toughness 9, 4s to wound. Holy crap. Maybe the Obliterators are actually going to do some good damage here. Alright, so that's a minus 3 to AP, so that's a 5 up for the Stormlord. Makes 1, fails 2. It'll take 8 for that. Alright, so the second guy, he'll get 3 shots. Same deal, hitting on 3s. Oh, they all hit too. Wounding on 4s. And they all wound. Maybe this could be a repeat. So 3 5-ups. Yep, and it's definitely a repeat. Takes another 8. That was super craziness. Alright, next up we have the Hellbrute with his twin last cannon. He moved though, so instead of hitting on a 3, now he's going to hit on a 4. Or he's just going to hit nothing at all since he's just going to roll 2s. Oh, bastard. Alright, well that takes us to the Proxy Knight Desecrator. It's got a Heavy Stubber and that Laser Destructor. Never mind, the Heavy Stubber's not going to do anything there. I keep forgetting it's only strength 4. Laser Destructor though, that's definitely some crazy awesomeness here. So, T3 shots. 2 shots ain't bad. He's not terribly bracketed, so he just needs a 3 to hit. And a 3 to wound. So it automatically takes D3 mortal wounds because of the 6. I'm gonna roll out. It's gonna take 3 mortal wounds regardless. It needs a 6 up to save. It didn't get that. So it'll take another 3. So 9 damage total from that. I had thought that the Rhinos could do something, but I had forgotten they advanced. Havoc launchers or heavies, so no luck on their side. But they did do a decent amount of damage to it. They cut its health in half. Just between these 3 guys, so that's pretty awesome. I mean, I kind of have to charge it, so we're going to do that. The Proxy Knight Desecrator is definitely going to charge into the Stormlord. There will be a ridiculous amount of Overwatch. Hopefully, the Knight Desecrator survives the experience. Although, I mean, yeah, Jesus. That's a lot of heavy flamer auto hits. We'll see how this goes. I scoured the 9th edition core book, and I still haven't found a satisfactory answer for this. And it's, can a vehicle shoot with every weapon even if it's not directly pointed at the thing that's charging at it? So we're going to go with the rule that only stuff that could probably hit it is going to shoot. So since it's attacking from the back right side, that would be 1 heavy stubber, 2 twin heavy flamers, and a las cannon. Everything else is either on the left side or faced forward. And it says that it's a turret weapon, but the Vulcan Mega Bolter is kind of fixed in there. You can't even turn it in place on the model. So, I mean, if they can do it in, fictional real life, awesome sauce. But they should have made that possible for the model. Either way, so 46 auto hits then from the twin heavy flamers, so they need 5s to wound. So we'll do the 4. Let's figure out how many actually 4d6 here. So we got 12 auto hits. Just need 5s to wound. That's, I mean, for Overwatch, that's really not that bad. We got 3 happy little wounds. Kind of like happy little trees, I just don't have to draw them. So, 4 ups. Made 2 of those, so 1 of those gets through. And then a las cannon does not hit. And the heavy stubber does not hit. Alright, so charge distance. It definitely made its charge. After much debate, I've decided to just attack with the Reaper Chainsword. The Titanic Feat is probably a better option damage-wise overall, but it would only take 3 actual failed wounds from the Chainsword to destroy that and spill out the precious little shock troops that can then be stomped on. So we're going to do the 4 attacks with the sword, hitting on 3s. Hey, all 4 of those actually hit. That's super nice. Alright, well, strength 14, so it's still wounding on a 3. Well, 2 out of 4 ain't bad. Still needs a 5 up. It takes 12 damage, which is not enough to kill it. That makes me feel bad. Hilariously enough, the tank does have its own melee attack with its adamantine tracks. Alright, well it is ridiculously bracketed, so he only gets 3 attacks, hitting on 5s. Hey, 1 of those actually hits. And it's wounding on a 3? Yeah, strength 9. Hey, that's actually a wound. Holy crap. A -2, so that's a 5 up straight out since it's not a ranged weapon. Which it actually makes. Good job, Knight. Well, I mean, that Stormlord is just taking a beating and not dying. That's superbly impressive. I don't know if any of you guys play Ark, but when you hurt the dinosaurs in that game, they get visibly wounded. The lower their health gets, bloody scratches down the side, just extra blood all over the place. And I kind of imagine that if a vehicle could look wounded, this thing only has 2 health. It's probably all kinds of beaten up. It's got big scratches in it. Like it definitely took two slashes with a Reaper Chainsword. There's just gashes and stuff everywhere on it. We just can't actually see it. But it is its turn, so it is gonna fall back just forward, I guess. It's gonna fall forward. Kind of like failing up. Well, with only 2 health, this guy can only fall forward. 6 inches, which is kind of turtle speed at this point. The edge of the table is looking really, really far away at this point. I didn't see anything in their abilities that are like the knight's abilities, where they can shoot and or charge when falling back, so his turn is done. That'll make it the Night Lord's turn again. For movement first. And then the obliterators are just going to tear this thing apart like a tin can, I'm sure. But yeah, movement first. Alright, once again, the rhinos are just advanced further up towards the corner here. The Hubbard has come out from behind the rock. The obliterators are still just hanging out on the hill. And the knight walked a little bit closer just to not fail a charge roll. Alright, so these 4 dudes are all going to shoot at the Stormlord. Hopefully, they can actually kill it. And then the Cadian shock troops will just be absolutely fucked. Alright, well the Obliterators did so well last time, they're going to do the Focused Malice again. So, D3 shots. First guy is only getting 1 shot at this. Hitting on a 3. I mean, that's a 3. We'll take that. Cool. So we're wounding on a 4. That is definitely a 4. Alright, well, the Stormlord needs to make a 5 or a 6. That is not a 5 or a 6. Well, alright, that's enough to destroy the Stormlord. Does it explode? On a D6. Holy crap. Alright, so it does in fact explode. Everything within 2d6 inches takes d6 mortal wounds. Alright, let's see how many inches first. Everything within 8 inches takes 1 wound. So the Stormlord damaged the Obliterator and the Proxy Knight Desecrator when it exploded. The command squad and the commissar got out unscathed, but everybody else lost at least 2 guys. So the shock troops are kind of hurt. I did say that all 4 of the available guys to shoot were shooting at the Stormlord, so I'll give the guard a break this time and not finish the shooting attack against them. But the Desecrator is going to charge. And I guess we're just going to multi-charge into the 2 groups closest to him. There's almost no need to do Overwatch here either. I mean, I guess the flamethrowers might do something, but maybe the grenade launchers. Yeah. Alright, so each unit that he's charging both have a flamer and a grenade launcher. So the first flamer is D6 auto hits. Hey, 1 auto hit. Wounding on a 6. Ugh, that's craziness. In the box, probably. Alright, well, that one doesn't work. So the grenade launcher for that grouping is going to do a crack grenade for a 6. Hey, I'll take a 6. That works. Needs a 5 to wound. And it does in fact wound, so I'm -1 here, so 4 up. Which it of course fails. D3 damage. Alright, 1 damage to the knight so far. And the other grouping, their flamer. Got 6 auto hits. Wounding on a 6. Nothing. And then the crack grenade from there also doesn't hit. Charge distance for that dude. That is definitely enough to multi-charge. Alright, so we're going to do the Titanic Feet attacks. We get 3 attack rolls for each 4 attacks, so we're going to divide these up. 6 attacks into the group on the left with the left leg, and then 6 attacks into the group on the right with the right leg. He is not bracketed in any way, so 6 attacks on the group on the left, looking for 3s. That's really not, I mean, 4. 4 out of 6, that ain't bad. So, strength 8. Toughness 3, yeah, 2's to wound. So it's a -3 AP, but these guys have a 5 up. So 3 of them die on the left side. Okay, and on the right side, same thing, looking for 3s. That was a much better roll. A lot more of those actually hit. And these are also wounded on 2s. Oh, 5 of those guys just die, squished into existence. There's really no meaningful need to have the shock troops make any sort of rolls to attack. They're all 3 strength. There's just no way they can do any damage to that guy. They can't even wound him. They need like a 7. I don't even know how to roll a 7 on a d6. They don't have awesome modifiers like that. Not yet, anyway. Well, it is their turn, so we'll see how well they do here. So these guys kind of got mangled a little bit, the 2 forward groups. I'm thinking that the entire point of this convoy is to get this company to some battle zone along with the armor that was accompanying them. But that armor is all gone now, and these guys are 2 feet, maybe 3 from the edge of the table. But there's no way they can win against the knight. I'm thinking these guys are probably going to make a run for it. And these guys that are still in combat are probably just going to stay in combat to try and tie that guy up long enough for these guys to escape. But I suppose worst case scenario, the Cadian shock troop dudes and the commissar will probably sacrifice themselves so that the command squad can escape. Just to let somebody know that something bad happened here, so we're going to do some movement. Alright, so the command squad, the remaining Cadian shock troops, and the commissar have all advanced toward the edge of the table. And these 2 guys that are still in combat with the knight are just going to stay here and sacrifice themselves to try and make it so these guys can escape. So, yeah, fight phase. There's just no point in these guys doing anything because their stuff cannot hurt this knight. So instead, the knight is going to do his part of the attack. And I think we're going to put 3 of his attacks into that big group and the other attack into that single sergeant right there. Alright, so we're going to do the right leg stomp onto the single guy. Still really pimped out, still hitting on 3s. Alright, well, only need a 2 to wound. Got that. That means that guy's dead. Cool, cool. Then the 9 attacks on the big group of dudes. Looking for 3s. That's really not a lot of 3s. 2's to wound. Every 2 is a dead dude. So 4 guys on that side die. Alright. And that's all I got for the fight phase then. Still got a couple guys tying the knight up. That will make it the Night Lord's turn. So, movement. Alright, the Hubbard moved to 6 and got a little bit more line of sight on the Commissar. The 4 Rhinos just moved up and they did not advance. The 2 on the right there also have line of sight on the Commissar. So we're going to do the shooting phase. So the 2 Rhinos that have line of sight on the Commissar are going to shoot the Commissar. Hubbard is going to shoot the Cadian shock troops, the wounded, will also shoot the Cadian shock troops, and if all of those people are dead, the other obliterator will shoot at the command squad. Otherwise, he'll also have to shoot at the shock troops. But we'll see how this turns out. Alright, so we'll start with the furthest rhino and his havoc launcher into the commissar. Heavy D6 shots. 3 shots. He didn't move, so he's sitting on a 4. 2 of those go through. Looking for a 3 to wound. Ah, both of those wound. That's unfortunate. I made one and failed one, so Commissar takes a point of damage. So the other Havoc Launcher, also into the Commissar. Only 1 shot, that sucks. Looking for a 4. Got a 4. Looking for a 3. Got a 3. Failed to save on that one too. I know I just said that who was shooting at what, but I don't remember if I said that Hellbrute was shooting at the shock troops or the commissar. So I'm just going to go for the easier way and say shooting at the commissar. So last game, hitting on 3s. Maybe. I'm so used to the tanks not needing to, or the Titan, you know, the Knights not having to worry about the heavy weapon roll, but Hellbrute doesn't have a way around that, so he needs a 4 to hit. Managed to get one of those in. Got a wound on a 2. Well, the Commissar does have a 5-up invulnerable save, which he made, so that's some craziness. I did originally have plans for how all these guys were going to shoot, but I didn't expect the Commissar to survive this long. So the Wounded Obliterator will shoot at the Commissar with the Warp Hail version, heavy D6 plus 9. So 13 shots. Looking for 3s. That's a whole lot of 3s. Strength on that is a 5. Looking for 3s. That was really kind of a crappy roll. It's only a -1, so 3 of those go through, so 3 5-ups. 5-up invulnerable saves. Failed all 3 of them. Alright, well, he finally killed off the Commissar. Alright, so the other Obliterator will shoot at the shock troops, also with the Warp Hail, D6 plus 9. 10 shots. Looking for 3s. That's a decent happy roll there. Jesus Christ, Paul. Looking for 3s to wound. 3, 5 wounds. 5 6-up, I think. Yeah. 4 guys die. So the guard presence that is currently fleeing is greatly diminished now. Nobody's really close enough to charge. I mean, I guess the Hellbrute could charge into these 2 guys, but he's about to kill them anyway in the fight phase, so I'm not mad worried about it. He is indeed going to stomp on those 2 guys with his 12 attacks. I do not expect them to survive the experience, but the dice have been acting kind of wonky lately, so I guess we can see how it goes. Alright, so all 4 attacks from his Titanic feet into those 2 guys at its feet, literally, so 3 attack rolls each, that's 12 attacks hitting on 3s. I can live with that. So, strength 8, toughness 3. Choose to wound. Yeah, so they don't have an invuln save. They're dead. That's 9d3 damage. There's only 2 of them. They're very dead. Very, very, very dead. Alright, the Night's Way is clear. And that would be the end of the Night Lord's turn. So, that'll be the Imperial Guard, with these guys fleeing a little bit further. So both of these guys advanced. The shock troops actually got a better advance roll, but I kept them at the back so they could at least take the brunt of the shooting phase of the Night Lords before the command squad gets annihilated completely. I had high hopes that these guys were going to make it, but I don't know now. I don't think so. The Obliterators are just way too ridiculous. But that'll make it the Night Lord turn. So, yeah, definitely some movement here. So the Obliterator on the hill over there is the only one that did not move. Everybody else just did a basic move. Rhinos are all mostly on the corner now. Halberds come over a little bit more. The Obliterator actually had to move over enough so that he could actually shoot at the Cadian shock troops. So, alright, we're going to do some shooting. I'm thinking this Obliterator over here will shoot at the shock troops. And the 4 Rhinos will shoot at the shock troops. And then hopefully that will kill them off so that everybody else can shoot at the command squad. Alright, we're going to start with the unwounded Obliterator who's been all alone on his little hill. He's going to shoot at the shock troops with Warp Hail. D6 plus 9 shots. So 12 shots. Hitting on 3s. That's pretty much most of them. Wounding on 3s. Yeah, I mean, it could be better. 2, 4, 6, 7. 7 wounds and a -1, so 7 6s. Oh, that's probably not good, actually. 7 guys die. I think that was the entire squad. Alright, that was the entire squad. So that just leaves the command squad. So the wounded Obliterator was sharing his hill with the Havocs. He's also going to do Warp Hail. Heavy D6 plus 9. Get 11 shots. Hitting on 3s. I mean, that's actually a nice decent roll. These will also be wounding on 3s. Five wounds. Five 4-ups. No, 5 6-ups. Looking at the wrong one. Well, 4 of them die, and the commander goes down to 3. That's a terrible thing. Alright, so the Halberd, with his twin las cannon, is going to shoot at the fleeing Cadian commander. 2 shots hitting on 4s because he moved. So a hit and a miss. He's a 2 to wound. Of course he rolls a 1. Why would you do anything else? So that leaves the Night Desecrator proxy. So his heavy stubber, hitting on a 3. So 2 of those go through. So we're going to wound on a 3 here as well. Hey! Both of those are wounds. But they only need a 5 up here. So take 1 damage for that. And then the laser destructor, D3 shots. Wrong die, probably. Wrong die. D3 shots. Same result. I mean, that's kind of funny. 2 shots hitting on 3s. They both hit. I mean, technically it's strength 14 against toughness 3. I should hit on a 1, but it's a 2. Both of those hit. Alright, so he's gonna take his 5-up invuln, fail both of those, take 2d6 damage. So he takes 6, which is more than he has total. Well, they were trying to flee, they were trying to escape. They were about 14 inches away from the table edge, but none of them survived the experience. Which means that the ambushers did in fact win. Yay, Night Lord's ambush! I mean, when I first thought of this idea, I didn't actually expect what happened to happen. I figured the rhinos would get closer and they would disgorge their space marines, and then we'd get into some weird, like, superhuman versus little human combat kind of deal, but the rhinos just were not that fast. Either way, Night Lords win. If you made it to the end of the video, I do appreciate it. I wasn't sure how this, and I'm still not honestly sure, how this one's going to turn out in the end. I hope it does well. Like 10 views would be a win for me. It's just been that kind of week. I do appreciate the viewer 8 or 9 months ago, however long ago it was, who put the original bug in my ear about the convoy thing. It was fun to do at the time it was suggested, and it's still fun to do little offshoots of it here and there. So, thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day wherever you are, and stay blessed.